Oh, sorry, I froze like Cormac Ryan did in that
Oh
moment.
my, I really was about to say he froze. My bad.
That's on me. Riley Davis from Heat Check CBB is here. Carter Elliott, GregWaddell, Sleepers Media. Riley Davis's Tar Heels are the team we're talking about. Just a highly entertaining game. Look, we all said in the preview we wanted this to be one of those throwback games. You remember when North Carolina plays Kentucky, there have been some classics. We talked about the Malik Monk game. I think for most of this game, it lived up to that. I think we got both teams. Well, at least I think we got Kentucky's A game, and I think North Carolina at times you saw the best of North Carolina. They made the furious comeback. They took a quick lead for 16 seconds, and ultimately Kentucky proved to be too much with a rather large mistake at the end of the game. But that wasn't the story of the entire game. Riley, how's your morale, first of all? Are you hanging in there? You're going to do the full Pod is the Roof episode shortly, so people should go listen to that with you and our friend Jacob Karabatsos. But for our recap, are you okay?
I appreciate the plug for the Pot as the Roof. Please listen to that. Follow us on Twitter as well. We need to build that following. Subscribe on YouTube. And I appreciate you checking in on my well-being. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, game could have gone UNC's way. We very well could be having this conversation where I'm eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, celebrating, talking about how we're a Final Four contender. But it didn't happen. There are too many mistakes, too many self-inflicted wounds, and I think that's what makes this more frustrating. I think UNC played well enough to win, even overcoming the self-inflicted wounds. Like when you look at 6 turnovers from Armando Bacot, 5 turnovers from RJ Davis, and I feel bad even throwing RJ in that because he was the best player on the court for a large chunk of the night. But it was just those little things that, had they been cleaned up, maybe UNC wins. And it's just sucks to like see it come down to the wire and you make one less mistake, or Harrison Ingram hits one of his 3-point attempts, or you have a few less missed free throws. And I know Kentucky missed some open looks too. Like you can't, say it's unbalanced in that sense, but yeah, to some extent, I'm like, everything is still fine. I still really like this team. I think their ceiling is high. Their offense is fun to watch when clicking. And RJ Davis is playing like one of the best 3 guards in the country. On the other hand, the frustration as a fan. This is coming from from a biased perspective, not like a journalistic media, whatever you want to call us, viewpoint. It just gets a little tiring to see UNC over the past few years play well in these big games and play well enough to win and just not be able to get the job done.
All right. Let's see where I want to start here. A couple things. For my own personal statements, I want to get this out here. RJ Davis is the best player in North Carolina. And I think he is the best player in North Carolina. He'll be that way moving forward. I think that this North Carolina team is at best when he is their best player. There are some rumblings by myself that maybe Harrison Ingram is the best player just because he does so many things, but maybe not the point production that RJ Davis has, but like everything he does on the basketball court accumulates to him being the best player. The best player on this team is RJ Davis. He needs to be the best player for this team every single night for them to reach their ceiling. With that said, and I say this with so much love in my heart, I promise you, I truly do. Armando Bacot is way too good to have a game like this. I'm sorry. Like it just is what it is. And I'm not like trying to come on here, and I hate doing it. I truly do. I don't want to talk about any one player specifically or any one player in any way, because that's not how basketball operates. That's not how it goes. But straight up, like him, there was a game, this game, they were out rebounded. In a game where Armando Bacot plays, he was out rebounded as a team and out rebounded by other players on Kentucky.
He was out rebounded by RJ Davis.
Right. Like that is unacceptable. Literally, that's unacceptable. It truly is. It's not okay. Armando Bacot had 4 shot attempts in this game. He had 6 turnovers. He had as many turnovers as rebounds. That's just completely unacceptable. And I think he himself would say it's unacceptable. He's way too good of a player. He has played way too much college basketball. He's been in way bigger games than this game alone. To come out there and put up that type of performance, that's just unacceptable. And honestly, that's the reason they lost this basketball game, because I thought you got enough from RJ Davis. RJ Davis had a great game. He started off a little bit slow, but he picked it up. You mentioned the 5 turnovers. I throw those away because he did so much else that kind of picked it up. Cormac Ryan, 8 for 12 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, 20 points. Points to the last play. Who really cares about that? He played well. Harrison Ingram maybe missed a couple shots. I think played well in my mind. If Armando Bacot plays to half of his ability, I think that they win this basketball game. And that's what would hurt me as a UNC like fan and supporter, because you got, call it dramatic, this is one of the worst games that Armando Bacot has played. Honestly, for real, it is bad. It is bad because it wasn't just bad as far as him missing shots. I would rather him go 3 for 15 from the field or something like that. He played 31 minutes and had 4 attempts from the field. And a lot of those, and I think his first, if I'm not mistaken, the first possession he caught it and had a baseline spin and like a little right hand jump hook. And then I remember at the end of the game, he had a dish for a dunk. So those are 2 of the attempts right there. That's just it. You cannot be that good and that dominant and have a stat line and performance like that. Like that's just, you're not going to win a game.
I want Riley to jump in and explain why you're right or wrong in a second, but I just want to add my sauce to this. Are we sure this is not who he is?
This is not. This is not.
Why?
I'm with you.
Why?
I'm with you.
Why?
I am with you.
Because we have a 1.5 sample size of him being like
he is not
one of the best 2 rebounders in the country.
So it's just all he didn't do in this game was rebound.
He didn't score
and his defense was bad.
Are we sure that's not who he is? Like
he's been UNC. Well, I mean, he's been a really good defender throughout his career. Like that's something I will argue for vehemently. It wasn't as good as it was his junior year last year, but he was still like, there is such a notable drop off defensively whenever he's been off the court for really the last 3 years.
Okay. That's fair. You would know better than me. I'm not here. I gave you the numbers on how many big games he's lost. It's not all his fault, but like Cart's given like, oh, we want to see him more aggressive with his shot. He has 5 games this season already before this game where he didn't shoot double-digit shot attempts. Like he's not as involved in the offense as he ever was before this season. And you can argue whether that's a good or a bad thing. I would say it's a good thing because Harrison Ingram is better. It's a good thing because RJ Davis is better. Armando Bacot's not that. He's not that right now. He's like a catch and dunk guy. You don't want Armando Bacot post-ups and you're playing through him. I don't think that's a formula to win games.
I do when you have a young, unexperienced front court on the other side. Like you gotta make Bradshaw show you. He didn't make Bradshaw show. You gotta make Bradshaw show you. You gotta make Bradshaw show you, and he didn't. I think a bad Armando Bacot game is like 15-9, like 15-12.
That would be a great game for him right now. Like there's a gap in between who you're thinking that he is and who he's been this season. Like
but even if you don't look at the stats, and I'm pulling the whole "did you watch the game" thing, I know you did, but I'm just watching the game, and I did not see him out there. Basically, I didn't see him do anything.
Again, that's
except turn the ball over. And
haven't we seen this a bunch in his career though? Like I can't believe there's outrageous surprise.
No, like there have been games where he's faltered against big men with athleticism and length. I think that gets a little bit overplayed or a little bit overstated. Again, I'll still point back to his junior year when he outplayed Mark Williams twice, like in the 2 most important games that season.
He's played 140 games in his college basketball career. Yeah, he was phenomenal before the injury his junior season. He was playing great. He has not been the same guy. Like your season ended in the ACC tournament last year. He had 4 points on 4 shot attempts and 3 rebounds.
But he also, that's fair. He hasn't been the same since that injury, but he still had a couple 2020 games last year and still averaged like 15 and 10. Like I think what Carter said, as far as, Armando would admit he's not playing well. And I think that's why media has loved him over the last couple of years. He's brutally honest. He's candid when he assesses himself. So I don't really feel bad acknowledging like he isn't rebounding well right now. I don't know what is going on. Like maybe he needs to get better positioning as well on his shot attempts. But with the way the roster is constructed around him, where you have RJ, who's an elite offensive player, you have Harrison Ingram in the middle of a breakout year, you have Cormac finding his groove yesterday, and Cadeau, I know Cadeau had a rough game yesterday, but has had some really good flashes to where you have the offensive firepower around Armando where he can be the self-proclaimed garbage man that he is and score on putbacks and like make toughness plays and hustle plays. And like the weirdest thing is just getting used to seeing him basically get 10 rebounds a half, like 10 rebounds in the first half for, yeah, uh, the better part of 2 years. And to just see him get boxed out by Aaron Bradshaw, especially, I think this was right after UNC took the lead. Dillingham missed the initial shot attempt, and he just got out hustled by Bradshaw for the rebound, who scored on a putback. Like that type of stuff just didn't happen a ton last year, and definitely not the year prior. On the other end, I still, like I mentioned, his defense really disappointing me. His help side defense, especially, it seemed like, going into this year, the big concerns with UNC was the small backcourt, was RJ Davis, was Elliot Cadeau. I don't think they've been noticeably bad at the point of attack. Like, it doesn't seem like, yeah, they're going to give up some buckets here and there, but they're not routinely getting beat off the bounce or anything. But that's where I think about like the DJ Wagner scoop shot and then that little reverse layup Dillingham hit in crunch time. Uh, Armando's responsibility as a help side defender, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Carter, I'll defer to you as a big man who's played a lot more help side defense in your career than I ever could have dreamed of. Like, isn't that his responsibility to slide over and alter that shot?
Yeah, I mean, definitely given the personnel on the floor to my eyes too. Like I rather him be down there helping than, you know what, if Aaron Bradshaw or whoever the big was on the floor hits a three right there, like I'll chalk it up. I'll be like, all right, like that's what we want to do. We definitely don't want to just give a scoop layup to Rob Dillingham at the line. Like that's just bad. And that also, I mean, that was the second point I wanted to talk about here is I hate bringing this up as well because in my time I have gotten my ass bust in basketball plenty of times. Excuse my language. It happens. But also at the same time, I hate seeing players come in with like not that chip and or pride. Like Armando Bacot has played so much college basketball. Aaron Bradshaw is coming into this game. He's the freshman. Everyone's talking about him. They're so happy to have him back for Kentucky. Kentucky fans are excited. All the college basketball world is excited for Aaron Bradshaw to come into this game. Armando Bacot should have came on that floor and been like, I'm about to embarrass this dude. Like, this is the guy that you're so excited about. Like, this is who it is. The guy who runs with his arms up. I'm sorry, Aaron Bradshaw runs funny. This is the guy that you guys are so hype about. And he didn't. Aaron Bradshaw was in his shit from the start. He was getting dunks. He was bumping into Bacot. Bacot was just taking it. Like, I was in shock that was happening. I truly was.
I guess that's fair. I won't give significant pushback just because Riley is here. If Riley wasn't here, I would be pushing back very hard on the player I think Aaron Bradshaw is versus the player I think Armando Bacot is. Suffice to say, I was just not nearly as surprised as these guys were by Bacot's mentality in this game. With that said, I do have to fact check Riley Davis quickly with our stats department. I had them on the line here. You said he had a couple 2020 games last season. He had 0 2020 games last season. He did have 19 and 23 against James Madison. 19 points, notoriously not 20 points, Riley Davis. So,
okay, how many did he have against NC State last year at home? That was like a 30-15 game in my mind.
23 and 18.
This is basically 2020.
Yeah, he had a lot of those games. Notoriously not.
Now we're not a roundup podcast.
Now we are a math podcast for the first time in our career. Okay, let's. I think there are positives to take away from North Carolina in this game. Maybe we'll talk about them in a moment. I think we've made people wait 12 minutes, probably, if not more, to talk about the play at the end of the game. Elliot Cadeau just throws the ball to Cormac Ryan's back. It appeared that Cormac Ryan was going to go set like a pin down for RJ Davis. Who does the blame belong to? I've heard people blame Cadeau. I've heard people blame Ryan. I've even seen people blame Davis, which seems a little crazy to me. Who does the blame belong to, Riley?
I think Elliot made the wrong pass. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know if it looked like if you zoom out and rewatch that play, it looked like they're setting a double screen for RJ to come off of like 2 pin downs. Stagger screens. I don't know. Like, I might be messing up my basketball terminology here. Some variation of double screens to get RJ open for 3, or maybe to have Cormac pop open for a 3 after setting it. Yeah, I don't know why Cadeau made that pass to Cormac when he did, but it's just, maybe you blame it on him being on the bench for, I think, the previous 9 minutes of game time. But yeah, it was sad to watch.
Cart, what'd you see there? Was this just moment a little too big for a reclass freshman?
I'm blaming a Davis, but I don't know if it's the Davis you want me to blame.
You're blaming Hubert for this one?
If I had to put it on somebody, I am, to be honest with you.
I mean,
Like
I guess if it starts at the top, you know.
yeah, like I love Ellie Cadeau. Like when we come on here all the time and I talk about him, he doesn't have the ball in his hands in that situation for me. Not when I'm going through the lineup and I'm going through who's playing well and who's doing what. Like I get it. Maybe you want to run something for RJ off the ball. I'm good on that. I'd rather cut like risk factors, like doing the whole business talk. Like I'm gonna cut the risk factor off at the point where I want to. I'm just gonna get RJ Davis the ball and go from there. I get it. Like if this works out and this set looks great, we're coming on here like, man, look at Hubert. Look at Hubie out of there drawing up something. Cadeau, great chest pass, hit him with the lines, caught it, great, feeling good about it. But unfortunately, that's not the way it shook out. And playing Monday morning quarterback or Monday morning coach, whatever you want to say it is, I just wouldn't have done it in that situation. And I do think some of that, if I do need to put the blame out, I'm not saying all of it's on Coach Davis, but I am saying that most of it is leaning towards him, but it's pretty even amongst everybody. I mean, stuff like that happens, to be honest with you. It happens more than you think. One guy doesn't do his job, one guy doesn't do his mistake, and it falls apart like it did right there. And, it is what it is. If you want to play the whole golden line, silver lining, whatever the phrase is, at least it happened in December against Kentucky. Hopefully they fix that up and make it right going towards the end of the year.
Okay. I think this is one of those things where I don't think you should assign blame to one person. Like I think Hubert clearly could have made sure his team was more prepared. I think Cadeau, at the end of the day, if I had to pick a player, I'm picking Cadeau that the responsibility belongs to. Like
I'm picking Bacot.
If you're the point guard, you don't have to pass the ball to anyone ever. Like you should be able to see that your guy doesn't have his back or has his back to you, right? But I do think there's shared responsibility. I do have to just poke a little fun at this and ask Riley, was that a generational pass?
Yeah. I still stand by what I said that Cadeau's a generational passer, and we're gonna have an Elliott Bordeaux before the season ends. So
okay, all right.
I'm with you.
I'm
still with you, Riley. If you were wondering, I'm still
waiting
there.
on that.
I appreciate that.
It took everything in me to not go throw some petty likes at Michelle Cadeau's. She quote tweeted us in the summer because I think I said reclass point guards never work. Would have been an opportune time for a little bit of a petty like, but I'm above it. I've grown. Look at me evolving.
It would be a little too early for petty likes. Like, come on, it's December.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Speaking of things that might have been a little too early, last time you were on a preview for this show, you said we got our coach. Do you still stand by that?
I stand by it.
Okay. A lot of people did not. I don't want to say didn't love, because everybody that listens to our show loves you, but I think our listeners were shocked to hear you say those words.
I stand by my guy. I stand by my own Carolina family through and through.
All right. Respect. We have not talked much about Kentucky. I am super impressed with Kentucky. I thought this was their A game. They could have made more threes. That's about my only critique in this game, but the level of shot making from damn near everybody on this team just astounds me. I think this is one of Cal's most talented rosters ever, and that's obviously saying a lot. Carter, what do you make of this team?
I think Rob Dillingham's mindset is my favorite of every player to ever touch a basketball court. I love that kid so much. I truly do. And I think that the fact that they have that luxury of bringing Rob Dillingham off the bench too is what's insane to me. And Aaron Bradshaw, I thought looked good in his time on the floor. Obviously, he had the 4 fouls, which hindered his minutes a little bit, but I thought he looked good. DJ Wagner, you get a game from him. I didn't think Antonio Reeves played well at all in this game, but he hit some timely shots. We have been pretty high on this Kentucky basketball team throughout the season, and I think that I feel a lot better about that too after this game. And I didn't really waver at that UNC Wilmington game as much as others did. I just think that this team has so much. They got a bunch of good guards too that could like get going on different nights. I feel like DJ Wagner hasn't had that great of a game. He had like a SEC Freshman of the Week type games, a couple games like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But besides that, this was the number one player, top 3 consensus player in the country coming out of high school, a certified bucket. You're telling me that he hasn't played well or got it going up until this point? I mean, he even chipped in 5 assists in this game. This Kentucky team is dangerous as hell. That's the thing. Like, if we're talking about, like, we come on here all the time, G, and we're like, who's the best team? Who's the most overrated team? Who's this team? Who's this team? Who's what team? I'm going to give you the Canva clip right now. Kentucky is the most dangerous team in the country. I don't want to see those dudes. I don't want to see Rob Dillingham. I don't want to see Reed Shepherd. I don't want to see Mr. and Mrs. Shepherd. I don't want to see Antonio Reeves. I don't want to see Trey Mitchell. I don't want to see Aaron Bradshaw. I do not want to see DJ Wagner. I don't want to see Coach Cal. I do not want to see this team.
I can tell you one guy who agrees with you, Armando Bacot. That's for sure. Riley Davis, do you agree?
The scariest team in the country. I don't know if I put them quite there. They're really fun to watch. They're really good. I think, despite what Kim Palmer and advanced metrics say, they're a bona fide top 10 team, and it's just a really well constructed roster. I thought DJ Wagner was about as impressive as he could be last night. He was really tough to stay in front of, made plays for others, was a beast on the glass, and he hit contested shots. He hit 2 threes, and that was supposed to be his knock. He shot 2 for 4 from the 3-point line. But beyond him and Dillingham too, like, you look, it's not just the freshman. You have a veteran in Trey Mitchell, and he's getting paired with a guy in Aaron Bradshaw who's raw, but at least can block some shots to mask some defensive deficiencies on Mitchell's part. And Thiero was a game changer, dude. I don't know if he played more than 15 minutes, but he just never gives up on a play. He's always looking to make a chase down block. Like, he was just a menace defensively, and to have him, I don't know if he's a sophomore or a junior, that's kind of an unsung guy. Like, when's the last time Kentucky had someone like that?
He's a sophomore.
Yeah, a guy who doesn't need to score, doesn't need a ton of minutes, but he's so impactful the minutes that he gets.
Right, sophomore, late add too. Like, everyone was kind of out on him. I think he's a Kentucky kid, like from Kentucky, and like he got the late Kentucky offer, and that's like his dream school. Like, he'll die for the logo.
He's from Leetsdale, Pennsylvania.
God, Carter.
That's probably like 20 minutes from Lexington. Pennsylvania's closer to Kentucky than you realize.
Just a great narrative from Carter cooking up. He's a Kentucky kid through and through. He'll die for the logo. He's from Pennsylvania. I love the roster. I love the team. Really? I like Carter's take. I like all about it. The most impressive thing to me about Kentucky right now is that I don't ever recall a team that had so much seemingly unselfishness. Like, I think that's the word. Like, I would expect, with how deep this team is, with how many guys that should be NBA players are on this team, and how much of like an equal opportunity situation it is right now, I would expect someone to be upset. I would expect there to be some obvious like body language issues on the court. I'm a body language expert. This team doesn't have any of that, which is crazy to me. Like, the fact that Rob Dillingham doesn't start for this team and then comes in and just like is the go-to guy down the stretch on a night where DJ Wagner's also cooking and everybody's happy is Cal's biggest accomplishment to date that I've seen. Like, it's super impressive. Reed Shepherd's been their best player for most of the season. He wasn't on the court in crunch time tonight. And it didn't matter because they had 5 other dudes who were cooking. Like, it's so deep. The high-end talent is so impressive. The offense is obviously really good. Cal had a quote in the presser about, like, everybody's been telling me, like, you need more shooting. I get that now. Like, yeah, nice little twist there, Cal. But I'm buying it as for real. I think this team's legitimate. And my last Kentucky question for you guys: if you were coaching this team, obviously like game dependent, it could change. But who do you think in March? Who are the 5 players that are on the floor at the end of the game?
Wagner, Dillingham, Reeves, Shepherd. Can that work?
Super
I might
small.
I might be taking Reeves off for Shepherd.
That's where I'm at.
Wagner, Dillingham, Shepherd, Thiero, Bradshaw.
That's exactly where I'm at. That's my answer. No Justin Edwards, no Reeves for me. Cart, what's your answer?
I got Rob Dillingham out there. I don't care what else y'all got. I really don't. Okay. Throw whatever for Cal.
Okay, noted.
Bob Dillingham had 16 attempts in this game. I don't care about the makes. 16 attempts, 6 from 3. The kid is who I want my son to be. I want to raise my future son to be Rob Dillingham.
Can I add one last thing about Dillingham and then we can get off? This hurts because Dillingham said this in the post-game press conference that his dad always wanted him to play at Carolina. And UNC backed off of Dillingham because of freaking Donda Academy. I don't think they didn't think he'd be eligible. Just one of like many horrible decisions Kanye West has made in like what, the last 4 or 5 years now.
I know you heard the video of him at the bar having the Backstreet Boys sample, though. I know you're very in on that song, Riley. Don't lie to us.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask what's your stance on the Backstreet Boys sample.
I haven't listened to it actually.
Are they Card? This is going to be our listeners. One of their favorite moments every single week is when this happens. Should we give it to them?
Should we?
Everybody, yeah,
rock your body.
Yeah. Everybody, rock your everybody. He sampled that, and it's Heat.
It's not Heat. It's not Heat.
Oh, come on. The beat's Heat. You admitted that.
No, the sample is Heat. What he did on that was like Armando Bacot levels in this game. It was trash.
What's the song called? Everybody?
I think Everybody. And I think it's the lead off on his album.
Probably going to be bad.
Yeah, there we have it. Cart, last thing from me. You love Bradshaw. You love his 16 attempts in this game. Little final minute math for you. 16 is actually 4 times 4 shot attempts.
What's that supposed to mean?
Your guy you're being critical of had 4 shot attempts in this game.
Talking about Bacot?
Mm-hmm.
Riley, is he messing with me? I need to sub you.
No, he's saying Dillingham had 16 shot attempts. Armando Bacot had 4 shot attempts. He's just saying that Dillingham attempted 4 times as many shots as Armando Bacot.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I just love watching you do math on the fly. That's all it is. All right. Thanks, Riley Davis.
I can't trust you.
Thank you, Riley Davis. Go listen to The Pod is the Roof with Jacob Karabatsos and Riley Davis, where they'll break this game down in depth. We'll try and drag Riley back on here for future previews later this week. Thanks, everybody, for watching.